Hi everyone, today we're going to go over refunds and specifically how they work in ChargeOver. If you didn't know, a refund is when you give money back to someone who has paid you in the past. What I'll cover in this video now is how a refund process works, what the refund via check option is, and then I'll go over some common questions about refunding within ChargeOver. So, how do you create a refund? Well, you're going to need to go to a payment first. And then on the right hand side of your screen, underneath the payment actions, you'll click the refund link. And then you'll be brought to the full refund page. So up here at the top where it says refund via, the ChargeOver has already selected the payment method that had originally made this payment. And if you click the drop down, usually you'll only see this payment method that originally made the payment. But I also have this refunded with a check option, which I'll go over a little bit later. You can only refund to the original payment method that made the payment in the first place. So just keep that in mind. And then I do have the opportunity to change the date of the payment or the refund if I wanted to, but I'll just leave it alone for now. And then once you have both these things kind of decided and set, you'll go down and you'll choose the line items that you want to refund. This button up here automatically selects all of the line items to refund. You could also choose to only refund a percentage of the payment if you wanted to by using this toggle over here. But I'm just gonna select all the line items to refund. And then once I've selected the line items I want to refund, you're going to see this option pop up down here that asks you what to do with the invoice balance. And there's 3 different options. So 2 of these options are going to close out the invoice, and then one of them leaves the invoice open. So the 2 that will close out the invoice is the create a credit memo option and the write off refund amount. And then the 3rd option is leave invoice open. So if you're wanting to void out the invoice for some reason, you could choose this option, although we recommend that you write off the invoice instead. You could also choose this option if you wanted to allow the customer to pay the invoice with a different payment method. So once you've decided what you want to do with the invoice balance, then you're basically all done. You can click the refund button at the bottom, and then ChargeOver will refund this payment. Before I do that, I'm going to go over the refunded with the check option. So you're going to have to enable this option if you want it. But essentially, if you refunded a payment outside of ChargeOver, you would want to use this refund with a check option. This is a manual option that does not actually refund any money back to the customer. It's just a way to log that a refund occurred on a payment. If you're using this option, we do recommend that you add a note into the refund, just kind of detailing where the payment was refunded outside of ChargeOver and then potentially why it was refunded as well. And your customers will not be able to see these notes, so this will only be an internal note that you'll be able to see. So to enable this option, you're going to have to go to your settings and then your payment processing tab, and then add or configure a payment method or merchant account, and then you're either going to type in manual, which will give you all the manual options that we have available, or you could also type in check, and then you're going to select the manual check option. So you're going to click connect, and then you're going to click save, and I already have this enabled, it looks like, but this is the way that you'll be able to use this, either to make a manual payment in ChargeOver or to have this option pop up when you're refunding a payment as well. So I also want to note that this is not going to be available for customer checkout, so people can't get around not paying you your money. This is never going to be an option that a customer could use. This is primarily an internal tool that you'll use. Okay, so now that we've covered that, I can go back and I will refund this payment to the Visa card. And then you'll see this page here. It'll kind of detail out what was refunded, how much was refunded, and then if you wanted to, you could also choose to email the refund over here underneath the refund actions. So that's the gist of refunding in ChargeOver. Now I want to go over how to refund an unapplied payment. So I'll go back to my payments tab and I'm going to type in a payment here. And I've already prepared this payment so that there would be an unapplied amount available. And an unapplied payment is a payment that is not tied to an invoice. So this can occur when the customer maybe overpays on an invoice that was quoted too high. And then basically the invoice would be edited to a lower amount. And then you're left with either an overpayment or an unapplied payment. So to refund an unapplied payment, you'll follow the same refund process that we did with a regular payment. So you'll click the refund link, and then what you'll do is you'll just click the little checkbox over here where it says unapplied, and then you'll be able to refund that unapplied amount back to the customer. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on really quick are 2 questions that we get about refunds. The first is, can I refund more than the payment amount? And the short answer is no. You will not be able to refund more than the amount of the original payment. However, you can always create a credit for the customer if you wanted to. And then the second question is, how long will the refund take to get back to my customer? And this will depend on your gateway. So credit card refunds are usually pretty fast. ACH refunds can take a few days to process, so you'll just have to be a little bit more patient with ACH refunds usually. Well, thank you for tuning in today. To review, we went over how the refund process works, what the refund via check option is, and then I went over some basic information about how refunds work within ChargeOver and some questions that people have. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to us by emailing support@chargeover.com, and we would love to help out where we can. Thank you.